All right, I'm going live now. What's up, guys? How's it going? I'm pretty sure we're live. We don't go live very often. So can we get a 5x5? Make sure everybody can hear us. How's it going, Laura? Welcome. We're glad to have you on.
Oh my gosh, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining.
We're definitely excited to have you tell us what the fuck just happened.
Yeah. I love the title of this podcast. Yeah.
It's fitting for you. And if anybody knows, if anybody's listened to our previous podcast with Laura, you know that my goal is to get her triggered and get her going. it's my favorite thing.
I talk really fast, but
yeah. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
If you guys are wondering about what happened earlier in the week, some stuff come up last minute. We couldn't do it, but it kind of seems like it was meant to be because there's a lot more to discuss tonight, and a lot has happened, and so much is coming through. Laura's getting downloads. We have a lot we want to say. Just before we jump in, guys, if you're wondering where you can follow us now, our link tree, actually, it's not even in the description. I forgot to put it in there, but it will be when this is over. Our link tree will be in there with our Telegram chat, Twitter, Instagram, pill.net, BitChute, Rumble, iTunes, Spotify, everywhere you can find us right now, all 500 platforms, wherever, but primarily we're on Twitter and Telegram. Sign up for Telegram if you don't have it. That seems to be the place where everybody's migrating. It's a lot of fun. The chat is a really cool feature, and it's just actually a really good way to share information. I like it a little better than Twitter. Thank you guys all for the donations and all the support we've been getting.
Yes, thank you all so much.
And we are, for those of you who caught the episodes this week with Rebecca Rose, you can see that we are honoring Flannel Program Month. You guys made such
Secret space flannel.
Yeah, since you guys made such a big deal out of that. And then, guys, we have the Omnia Radiation Balancer, the patch you put on your radiating devices. We have them on our microphones, our computers, our phones, everything. Put it on the device, harmonizes the frequency, turns it into something actually beneficial for your body. Highly recommended. It's really a life-changing technology. That we have that. Available for 10% off with promo code TRUTH, all caps. And you can actually find that link on our website and below, and in Linktree. It's all over the place, but I forgot to put all the links in the description, so we will worry about that later. Hopewell Farm CBD, 15% off with JTT15 promo code, and that does stack with free shipping for any purchase over $200 or more. And then obviously we have the Teespring sale going, 20% off all of our Teespring merch with promo code Sleepy Joe. And we're
very appropriate.
We're just going to let that run indefinitely until
indefinitely.
Yeah, indefinitely.
Until we decide not to.
Yeah. And one last thing before we get started here, Starseed Adventures Conference, Cocoa Beach, Florida in March. Aaron and I will be there with our Experiences Lounge. We're going to be hanging out, doing some live podcasts, some interviewing some people, getting their testimonies, just hanging out. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tickets are extremely limited, but if you want to come to the beach and hang out with us, grab yourself a ticket. That link will also be below. And that being said, welcome to the show, Laura. How's it going?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. That alone could be a whole interview, but then I don't want to drag you into my weird world. But yeah, no. Actually today, I don't know, it's like the sun came up on a spiritual level, and I knew that it would, but I'm actually doing really darn good, but can't lie. The last couple of weeks have been very challenging emotionally, but not fear-based emotion, just a lot of stuff. But what about you guys? How are you doing?
Good.
Doing very well.
You know,
very good.
It helps that we've been keeping ourselves informed throughout all this, because now we're able to see things through a lens where others aren't. And it really is we're able to stay calm and collected, and you can kind of really see what's going on. It does get scary sometimes, and it does get frustrating, but I'm starting to really see what's happening, and it's kind of almost a good thing. I think patriots are in control. It seems to be. They're just kind of letting the deep state show their face right now, and they wouldn't show their face unless it's checkmate. So they would never do that unless they had to, and that's what's happening. So we'll see how it plays out. But I'm curious to see, what are your thoughts, and maybe for the people listening, a lot of people want to know what happened. Why did Biden get in? How did all this play out?
Well, I feel that there's been so many incredible gatherings, rallies. I feel even that event that took place, was it January 6th? Yeah. The Capitol siege, and how that ended up turning into this terrorist thing when really it was a beautiful crowd of people. And it just ended up becoming like this false flag. Knowing that that's what we're up against is giving people a chance to wake up. Because when you see the difference between a ceremony or an event or whatever you want to call it, that is Trump related, the spirit of the crowd and the diversity and the energy is so beautiful and incredible. And yes, with any gathering, whether it's a party or a rock concert or a sports event, there might be, those that brawl and get out of control. But does that mean everybody else is blamed? So, I mean, the common sense factor has to be lighting up for people that this is ridiculous. Because if you look at the energy of the crowd, it has nothing to do with that. And then you see this lockdown during inauguration, and it's almost like they're in their own prison. Very much Hunger Games. There's a lot of memes of, I think a lot of us thought that. That's what I love about memes. It's like, oh, I'm so glad somebody created a meme, because totally that's what I'm feeling. And then the armed troops or the army, being taken to the parking garage, and just, 77,000 or 10,000 or, well, somewhere between that range of jobs being lost and all the executive orders, but then looking closer into the camera and seeing, wow, these pieces of paper look blank.
Yes.
And there's a timing connected to when these things have been streamed that aren't really live. And supposedly, or some people have said that there are, potentially green screens. So if a person can't understand the energetic difference between a crowd that shows up for a Trump thing versus those that support Biden, and when one really looks at the numbers and all the evidence and facts, there's a major bifurcation going on with people that can't see that, and that will cling to dear life to, something that they were brainwashed to believe exists because of indoctrination, because of fake news. So I feel like we have gone through a lot of dark night of the souls as humans. A lot of people have, not everybody, maybe to the extent of others. And when that breakthrough happens is usually at that moment where you almost can't take anymore. The dark night of the soul is just so painful and difficult. You wonder, did God abandon you? Or, is everything doom? But when your heart's in the right place and you really stand for the right things, and you don't get possessed or taken over by the demonic forces that are trying to hold you in that fear so it can feed on you, there's this thing that happens just in our own personal lives, in our own personal journeys when we face tragedy or adversity. So I feel like that's happening on a collective level. And because the T administration has been so mistreated and projected upon by this other side that literally, even though the B man supposedly won, they still want to go after Trump supporters. It's like, how can, and I mean, that level of insanity, I feel, is such a small part of the population, but it's the one that's being streamed through the fake news and the Mockingbird media, to the point where it seems like it's a lot larger than it is. And it's a pantomime sort of like play that we're seeing in order to assimilate us into AI, in order to infect the brain program, to stimulate emotions into further duality of hatred. And you either are courted into that and you're feeding it, or you're free of it. And that, to me, is more the true kind of parties that exist, not right or left, not, anything but that. Some might, say, either traitors or patriots or freedom versus tyranny. But to me, it's really about, you're either connected on a spiritual level to what's going on, you're working the energy, even if it takes you into very, very difficult and uncomfortable places of grief and fear, if your heart's in the right place, you can transmute that, and that's temporary. But if you allow it to possess you to the point where you lose connection with your heart and your greater integrity, it's going to keep you in these hell realms where you don't realize that you have tons of entity attachments while you're feeding and supporting something that is imprisoning the human race even more. So because they've probably been given this feeling that they're part of the greater reward system for staying aligned with it, at least the players that are hanging close to it, and however they can infect the human mind through the fake media and all the different tactics that they use. I feel like the more control breathes down on us, the greater potential for humans to have a breakthrough. And we have to witness this 3D thing for a bit longer until, you know, we're going to rise out of these ashes, or, you know, actually bifurcate. Doesn't mean anybody's abandoned, but we cannot exist in the same frequency and vibration anymore. So we should just see that, all right, you guys are over here. Well, we're over here. And guess what? We don't fear death. You know, death is not an end. Death opens us up to other dimensions, but we want to lift the veils between life and death to help people, you know, in the here and now. But it doesn't mean that whatever we're seeing on the world stage means like success or failure, because that old system of duality needs to go anyway, where, oh, we won, we lost, we win, we lose. We have to realize there's something more alchemical taking place, and that might even shift the very energies of AI and make the technological part of it more benevolent, because technology and spirituality and its development can walk side by side, but right now it's like being pulled apart. And I feel like the majority is going to have a breakthrough, but there's some that have already lost their soul to the point, I don't want to say of no return ever, but they might not get it in this
lifetime.
Well, you weren't lying when you said you had some downloads, huh?
Oh, well, I hope I'm articulating okay.
No, you are. Actually,
you are.
You nailed it all so well. You're spot on with everything. And going back all the way to the beginning, to the troops being forced to sleep in a parking garage. What I thought was beautiful is Trump offered them a place to sleep in his hotel, in the Trump Hotel in DC. That tells you everything right now.
What does that tell you? Exactly.
And there's so much like this inauguration, which I'll call it, because it was more like watching a scene from the Hunger Games or a scene from a movie, which if you really break it down and look at it, I mean, nothing adds up. Nothing makes sense. Did that even happen in DC? It's like, what's going on?
It's all fake.
The Oval Office appears to be a set. It's not the same Oval Office we've seen Trump in. The curtains are different. The wallpaper is different. The windows different. There's so many things that don't add up. He's literally signing blank sheets of paper. And none of those executive orders have been entered into the Federal Registry yet.
Yep.
So I did hear that it takes 3 to 7 days for that to update. So we'll see.
But still.
Yeah. And even Biden himself looks soulless. It's very much clone like. I mean, it screams puppet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the matrix structure is collapsing, and it's collapsing through us removing our belief systems from it and our compliancy to it. And even if it means something's going to come breathing down our neck, threatening us, it doesn't matter. That's the tactic of a bully. This is an energetic battle, a war on consciousness. Are we going to allow fear to mean that we're going to just submit, just to, protect this or that? Well, for some, maybe they do need to do that. No judgment on that. But what is the greater intention? What is the larger picture connected to that particular individual? So we have to ask ourselves the same question about what is the greater picture connected to the planetary consciousness? And that's where I've been kind of posting lately. And most of my presentations, if not all, touch upon this, that the Venus transits have been creating corrections. Grid workers and guardian groups have come in to do the grid work because the planetary grid network has been infected, and it has been for thousands of years, in order to bring us into the times that we're in of a new world order. So when the grid lines are infected, that impacts our DNA and our chakra system. So the reversal codes in the beast machine sort of architecture of reversals have been in play to create this script that is literally being broken down and decoded and disassembled as we speak, even though it doesn't feel that way, because they want us to link our mind and those neural networks in our brain to the mind control. And as long as they have that piece of us, they're able to siphon and harvest our energies to where we're a part of the manifestation and the enabling of these artificial timelines. So the minute we cut the cords and realize this is all theater, and we get in touch with, what's really true and real, and we get into our heart and soul, and we give our mental body a break, and we go into a greater level of trust, and we use our creative energy to produce words, to produce, things in the physical plane that are connected to a greater vision or mission, it buffers their ability to kind of hook in and steal and rob, because the whole system has been based in that level of theft. And the media, Hollywood, and all these different narratives that have been steered have very much targeted our ability to create that energetic balance within ourselves. And so if we can break that toxic relationship, we're going to notice that the matrix begins to dissolve, the net begins to break down, and we are able to poke a hole and connect to true God source. And it nullifies and neutralizes everything. And I feel like it neutralizes and breaks down even the beast, or the mark of the beast. So even those that might have been vaccinated, there's a different frequency coming in to neutralize that level of weaponry and assault. And I see the same thing with chemtrails and all these other weapons used against us, that if we trust this larger picture and we trust the love of the creator, you know, masculine, feminine, mother, father, God, Christ, Sophia, consciousness, if we trust that, which also is a divine blueprint within us, you know, these assaults and weapons become neutralized, and we can begin to see them as the adverse tools that can promote our great awakening instead of victimize us. So we need to like do that Jedi mind trick on our reality right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spot on with
Absolutely.
everything. The chemtrails, we are getting slammed with them right now. The skies are just full of it. I mean, crosses and grids. I mean, it's sickening. But you're right. Our changing our frequency will actually neutralize a lot of that. And I think one of the major lessons here for everybody, you know, so many people were allowing this inauguration to determine their happiness. And it's about not giving our power away. So many people were
their expectations were all in that.
Yeah.
And when that didn't happen, they lost all hope.
And you
can't do that.
That's where the lesson is for all of us. Everyone, so many people are so willing to give their power away to Trump. And if he's in, then they're happy. You should not let that determine your happiness. This comes down to us creating our own happiness.
It's not even about Trump. Ultimately, it's about us. It's about our sovereignty and our freedom. And,
oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. So, you know.
I mean, he's just, to me, he is got a similar mission, and he's playing it out on a level that is really, really intense, because he's dealing with the 3D stuff. He's dealing with governmental structures. And he is willing to look at things like, and call out and put operations in place to take down things like, you know, human trafficking, child trafficking. And he recognizes that the swamp needs to be drained. So he is very much the voice of the people that have done that inner work, that have gone down those rabbit holes, that have done their research. And it goes beyond QAnon, and people keep thinking, oh no, this is all concentrated. And ever since Q came along, everybody's all paranoid about this. It's like, no, people have been speaking out for a really long time. I mean, Kathy O'Brien has been for 30 years. 30 years she's been calling this stuff out. She was a victim of, you know, MK Ultra, and really being used and abused by the deep state. And yeah, she put a book out, but people were too interested in the Monica Lewinsky scandal with Clinton that when they went to the Google search bar, they're more interested in Monica and Bill Clinton instead of what this woman has written a book about the abuses she endured under not just her, but a lot of others. And I could name names, and I probably already named, well, I already did, but I mean, that's the deal.
Right.
I mean, so that needs to be taken seriously, just like the, you know, I mean, I'm trying to be careful what I say, but when we see something fraudulent, like, we know what I'm talking about when I say that, because of the events that have taken place lately, and how that's being brushed off, how, you know, a group can be called terrorist because of it, but they spent pretty much the whole administration after 2016, when Trump won office, to not only start the impeachment process, but put him through and social media and everybody through this major suspicion that never went anywhere. Whereas you know, so I don't need to go into it because it's so obvious to a lot of us. But yes, we have to pull back and understand that we're here on this earth for soul development and spiritual development. We're here to upgrade our DNA and begin to switch on the things that have gone dormant, because those places in us that are dormant keep us locked into the personality matrix, where everything that we think or believe or decide is based on what's being streamed into us, or based on what ancestral patterns or what was passed down to us. And some of it is awesome, and some of it, you know, is worth keeping. But can we give ourselves the permission to discard what doesn't resonate, that makes us feel sick, that makes us feel stressed, and be more empowered as co-creative beings. So once we remove ourselves from the net, which wants to just continually wrap us up into more of a cocoon for the spiders to feed on, it's not even a cocoon, whatever you call it. There's the, you know, but in actual fact, we're in a real cocoon where we're, you know, emerging as butterflies, of course, and all the metaphors, blah, blah, blah. I don't mean to be cliche or cheesy about it, but yeah, it's like when we break down the attachment or dependency, and we allow ourselves to metaphorically sort of jump out of the plane and trust the parachute's going to open, you know, when the plane's about to crash, that level of trust in a greater, higher power, which exists within us, and our capacity to really feel into the earth energies and be honest and present with the pain or anxiety or grief or depression that might show up, we're going to move through it a lot quicker. You know, and the thing is, people are making choices out of that fear, to the point where they don't even feel the fear anymore. They're just going to put the mask on and trust something outside of themselves. We need to feel into those difficult emotions and energies in order to purify them and clear them and see, you know, a much bigger picture on the other side that is absolutely helping us move to the next level. But I feel that there's a lot of vulnerable people that are being victimized by these false narratives, but I don't feel they're all doom and gloom and they're going to be, you know, forever enslaved because they got the mark of the beast. And I know that greater missions and corrections were put in place for that very reason, in order to, you know, protect those souls that might not have known better, that are really good people. Because I don't feel God or goddess could ever abandon those that just were mistaken because of the indoctrination. Well, I feel like, they're
just lost. Yeah, exactly.
Not their fault, really, but
very, very lost. There's a lot of lost.
Yeah, and that's it. So many people just immediately shifted into victim mode, right? Like you said. Yeah. And something I heard the other day, I was listening to something, and they said they got a message that said, basically, you know, the light has won. The bad guys are gone, but the collective
light's already won.
The collective is so programmed, so heavily programmed for so long, that we are collectively ourselves manifesting the evil still. Yeah. And until we change the way we think, it's not going to go away. So if we keep thinking there's a bad guy that needs to be taken down, there's always going to be a bad guy that needs to be taken down.
Right. We got to win the war within, because it's like being it's like overcoming abuse or a very traumatic childhood or relationship. You might be kind of done with it and break a certain part of the programming, but a lot of it might continue to haunt. I mean, if the energetic shift happens, it takes a while for the physical to catch up, because the speed of consciousness moves way quicker than physical density. Yes. But I feel like it's integrating and it's working, it's magic, and I really feel it. Sorry, go ahead though.
Well, I just want to talk about what actually occurred here. So like so people want to know, because I want to just try and put people at ease as far as, you know, Biden got in. But if you really break this down and see what's going on, it doesn't seem like he's actually in. I don't think, it's almost like he was inaugurated. Like if you look at the Act of 1871 and you follow all that information, it appears that, he's the president of a corporation now, but the Act of 1871 may have been ended, may have been stopped, and he's not technically president of the USA. He's the president of a corporation.
Of a dead corporation.
Yeah.
Because it's dead.
Well, it's like the Archonic system. Oh, sorry. Go ahead if you had something. Sorry, Eric.
No, I was saying the corporation's dead now officially.
Well, didn't you say,
from what I've seen,
didn't you say it was the first time ever that the president wasn't flying in a military plane?
Yeah. The plane he flew in was not military, and that's the first time that's ever happened.
And well, the thing is, the people. Oh, sorry.
There's a reason. No, there's a reason for that, because he's not the president.
Well, and
he's not the real president.
And you have the military turning their back on him.
The military was turning their back.
That was huge.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
I feel like the people fired this governmental system. It's been fired, and the attention is now on, respecting our freedoms, supporting, this whole global infrastructure of how we actually connect with the true planetary grid network, even if it might not be articulated in that way. The people I feel, support Trump aren't supporting Republicans. They're not supporting government. That was just a doorway that is opening up to something much larger. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that the tea guy is perfect. It doesn't mean that it's all about submitting or worshiping. It's like we're a team of light that is multidimensional and breaking down this governmental structure that doesn't work anymore. Both sides have been corrupted and owned. And that's why this was sort of an anomaly. And that's why people say, Trump card. But, worst case scenario, it's never really been about, oh, he's going to solve all the problems, or, oh, it's all about him, or, oh, it's all about worship, like you guys said. It's about somebody who's not getting in the way of our dreams, our greater missions, our greater callings. We need somebody to hold space for us to be able to express that. And this person, way better, way more than, who, has been able to do that. So it's like, he feels like a friend to the people, not anybody to look up and worship, but the mainstream media is going to literally create that projection and inversion so that those that aren't fully awake will say, oh, you're the tyrant, you're the fascist, you're this or that, or you're racist. And it's like, it is so twisted beyond belief. And I really kind of feel for these people, but it's like, so I feel like there's a massive detoxing and deprogramming going on the planet, but some people won't budge, and they will literally become the very thing that they accuse you of when you're sitting there, or we're sitting there with an open heart and saying, you know what, I don't hate you back. I don't care what you voted for. And so I'm not like into politics, and I've never really voted or gotten that involved, but this to me goes beyond it. To me, this is the attention on the crimes against humanity, child trafficking, the dark cabal. It's always played both sides. So most people that are in the know don't worship Trump. They're not right or left. They're standing for something much bigger, and it's being absolutely misunderstood and annihilated and mistreated in social media and in the news. And, it's like their loss. It's like, none of us are afraid of death. And I personally refuse to be masked. And I could walk out the door and a car could run me over. Am I going to put a mask on it? Am I going to live in a cage? I mean, it's just the common sense. It doesn't make sense. And the thing is, adversity and viruses, and even if it comes from a bioweapon, these adversities push us to the edge so that we can recover our greater treasures. If we have all sorts of abilities, and if our junk DNA actually isn't junk, isn't it these adversities that help us to open that doorway to reclaim our treasures instead of shirk away and allow authoritarianism and totalitarianism? I can't even say it. That's how but I mean, it's like, this is a time of ascension and empowerment, and the veil that we're lifting in order to move into those higher harmonic universes, they're manipulating people into the fear of death when embracing it is the ultimate passage.
Yes.
Through these stargates into
it's not
our greater abilities, where we can actually come and go from the physical as we please. We're not locked into this constantly being recycled into the,
Well, that's it. They want to keep us locked into this is what it's really all about, because we're their food source. That's all this all comes down to is this. We're their food source. We're sending, they are freaking out because they're losing control, and they know they have basically no time left. So they have to throw out everything they have right now to hopefully win, which it won't happen. Like you said, it's inevitable. But we're seeing the collapse of this old control structure at the same time as you're seeing this great awakening and the ascension ramp up. So obviously that's a recipe for a lot of chaos and a lot of crazy stuff to happen. Well, so that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. All this censorship, Twitter taking down Trump and Facebook, every platform, Instagram, by the way, which I think is insane. Did you see that it's making people? Oh, there we go.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted, Laura. You're muted.
I didn't want to cut you off. I just was experimenting here. I'm listening, and I'll explain what this is when you're done. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, did you notice that Instagram is making people automatically follow the Biden White House page, and if you go and block it, it unblocks it and makes you refollow it because nobody's following it. They're doing whatever they can to make it look like, this is a good thing, but it's so obvious that it's not. But what I was getting at is them doing the censorship is showing the public that the deep state exists. It's showing them that it exists. And that's what needs to happen, because so many people are clueless to it. They're in disbelief. They don't want to believe it. They think Q is nonsense, which actually a lot of these Q drops now are actually being validated. If like this helicopter crash with the National Guard, the Standard Hotel closing. Like Q said this in a post months ago, and it's like happening right now. So it's almost like all these Q posts were meant for this time. And people were trying to say it was a psyop. This is so much bigger. There's ETs, there's looking glass technology.
Yeah.
This goes, if you don't have an understanding of that, you are going to be lost. That's why it's so important to go down this spiritual path and really discover who you are and what the hell's going on, or what the fuck just happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's really pulling people, and it's not about right or left. It's can you be programmed into hatred? Can you be programmed into sort of an anti-life, sort of anti-Christ war mentality, where you will literally look at people through the lens of what somebody else tells you? We know that gossip never worked. It's like the telephone game. Just like in high school, it's like somebody can tell you something terrible about a person you've never met, and then when you meet them, you automatically are like, oh yeah, I heard this about you. Well, it should be more like, let me step back as an observer and see if like this is really unfair. But at the same time, we don't have to get that invasive. Let's just love our fellow, I mean, even people that are like super dark, it's like I feel love for and forgiveness for. I don't polarize myself. I don't consider myself any particular party. I'm not saying I have it all figured out either. But to me, I mean, isn't that how we should be as humans? So a lot of these programs are thrust through the medical industry. A lot of doctors and really intelligent people are manipulated as far as the way they practice medicine. We see that also in politics. There's blackmail. There's all sorts of tactics that the deep state uses, and all sorts of things like Manchurian candidates and mind control victims and trauma-based mind control victims that have been born into these family lines. And so, and everything is very much symbolic of this greater sort of ritual, which to me, the inauguration, really, showed. So
that was a ritual.
We have to kind of be pulled into that a little bit.
Everything they do is a ritual.
Yeah.
And there's a good reason for that.
On the world stage, the inauguration, look at that gigantic Necronomicon they were putting their hand on for the inauguration. I mean, that's a satanic ritual on the world stage. Having Lady Gaga there.
Hunger Games feel.
Having Lady Gaga there was very strategic.
Or the dove, or
yeah,
it's all very strategic.
Yeah. Well, and it's very strategic to the point where we have to understand that this is a war we're winning within ourselves. The negative ego constructs we bought into, the identities that we felt or people felt that they might have needed to attach to feel successful, to feel good. People aren't willing to let go, and it's turning them really dark and demonic because they don't want to have that breakthrough. They don't want to be like, oh, wow. I mean, where's your humility? It's like, it doesn't mean that just because you invested in the system or went to university and spent a lot of money and it was all a program and the people behind it weren't necessarily of the highest integrity, that you need to like completely fall apart, because you did gain something. You gained a skill set. But can you open up that skill set to doing something of greater value and meaning to the point where you won't be a host for these parasites? And so that struggle for people to break free is making them really angry. And they're really angry, not just at the messengers, but anybody who has a mission. It's so easy for them to be like, all these terms that we talked about earlier, racist, fascist, and they don't realize that they're turning into the very thing that they've been taught to fight against, because they're supporting censorship. They're supporting taking people's children away. They're supporting the most disgusting atrocities. And when I look at this administration as an observer, not choosing a side or being that political, I didn't see any of that. I saw just promotion of free speech, embracing of like diversity, and people really, really coming together in the most beautiful way. And then this demonic sort of possession over this other side. And I don't like to break it up into right or left, and I'm not saying it's that black or white, but I mean, it's unbelievable that people aren't noticing that. So I don't know if it's fluoride or, I mean, they haven't even been vaxxed yet. Can you imagine what's going to happen after they get vaxxed? It's like, then are they the zombies we have to shoot between the eyeballs? I mean,
well, for one, you just said it, nothing is black and white. None of this is black and white. It's so multi-layered, so complex. To try and understand it in even a year's time is hard. You really have to put yourself on that path and go down the rabbit holes and see things for what they are.
Yeah.
And it's just, I just think, like you said, loving your neighbor, loving everybody equally, even the people that are surrounded with darkness, and they're all showing their true colors now. It's becoming very apparent who is operating from that dark place. But I always say, like, no matter who you voted for, no matter what you believe in, if you're walking down the street next to somebody and something happens and all of a sudden you're in a position where you have to save that person's life, you're going to save their life because it's human instinct. It doesn't matter who they voted for or what they believe in. You're going to do that. And that's what it comes down to. At that moment, everything that we're discussing right now becomes irrelevant because exactly. Yeah. I don't even have to go any further.
No, it's beautiful. So glad you're saying it's true.
If you're gonna step into your sovereignty and you're gonna live, like, are you gonna live from a frequency of love or fear? And the fear is what gets programmed into us, and that's why so many people are in that state, which is attached to the ego, which makes you hate people that believe differently than you, and the media and everyone else tells you, oh, these people are bad because they believe this and they do this. And then you go, oh yeah. And it's like all this duality, I'm better than you game. Yeah. And it's all BS. And it's all just ego based. So that's what we got to get out of. And we got to step into the heart, which that does not exist there.
Right. And there's a certain point where, I mean, I feel a bifurcation is happening where it's really not safe to exist with these people. And, regardless of their threats, the fact that they support execution, extermination, taking your children away, because they are bitching about a capital siege where it's already been reported and filmed that an Antifa person helped lead the charge, and also a CNN reporter. And even if even if a couple patriots, came in, thinking, without weapons, without violence in their hearts, that they might be able to, stop something that is so near and dear to their heart. I mean, all the passion is there. I mean, everybody's there because they care so much. I mean, we're talking about a vet of 14 years that got, shot, and there's no attention on the shooter. There's no attention, it's
okay. It's okay.
And then Antifa, all the things that they accepted and allowed that they still allow. I mean, there's still rioting and businesses being burned down and all sorts of things going on in places like Portland and Seattle. But now it seems like they switched into, now we're against Biden. It's like,
well, they said they're walking around with signs that say we're ungovernable.
Right. It doesn't matter what happens. Their program.
I wish they could go without the violence because, I mean,
well, it's proving their programming. And speaking of programming, like speaking of MSN, if you turn on CNN, notice that the COVID death counter is gone now. All of a sudden it's gone. It's not.
It's magic.
So there goes that fear that they were trying to pump. Actually, if you turn on CNN, you would think it's like some joyous celebration of humanity. It's such a great thing. And Biden's here trying to give the whole world a hug right now. It's
literally 100% the opposite of what we've seen over the last 4 years.
Actually, I hate to say this, isn't necessarily a bad thing because it allows people to calm down. And now,
as sad as it is, it actually.
And then now the energy isn't so chaotic and things seem a little more peaceful, even though.
It's fake.
Even though there's the whole calm before the storm, but then there's the let's placate them a little bit, and then they're going to pull in the next level of all these vaccination
the problem,
stations. Now we got the vaccination stations, but everybody can go back to work, and we don't have to worry about lockdowns because they have the next level of assault control. But it doesn't matter because as much as they lay this or put this upon people, God's source energy and what this planetary body is made of will not allow souls to be enslaved. We've already gone through that down the timeline where EBEs and gray ETs and all these different tactics, we've been able to see into that. And the guardian groups, have had that larger picture understanding of, the dramas that are going on here on this planet. So that's where I was talking about like the grid workers and even the Venus transits, the very mother arc energy coming from the cosmic trinity of the great mother has ensured that the souls of good humans that might not be fully awake are not subject to, the hell. It might be a temporary one for certain people so that they can see the contrast like we were talking about. But yeah, keep going with what you're saying though. I can't help but just be like, yeah.
Well, it's important to remember it's not anybody's fault that they're asleep coming out of the gate. That's the programming. So, but there is a point where when you find out about a piece of information, you now have a moral obligation to do something about it. I think like it's, or you just turn a blind eye to it because, diving into that truth will shatter your reality and your relationships and everything. And it's complicated. It's complicated. It's easy for us. We don't have families. We don't have children. So I feel for the people who are going through this awakening. They have family members and children who don't believe in this stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just difficult. It's a difficult time. So you can't blame everybody. You know, it's not their fault, is what I'm trying to say.
No, people are just asleep and programmed is the main problem. And the less healed you are, the harder it is for people to wake up and to get out of that, because they cling on to it's all that ego that I was talking about. It's clinging on to it so hard, because they have all this trauma that they have that's just so dense, you know?
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just love having this conversation with you guys. This is what's so nuts, is because those wounds and traumas aren't given a real place in our world to work through.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at the medical industry, even, you know, the psychological or the psychologists, I mean, all these different things that people learn in schools are literally, let's throw them a label and let's maybe give them a drug and let's kind of keep them in that box. Where a lot of these issues that we're going through are gateways into our awakening. When we're taken to like a great level of pain or stress or fear or anxiety, I mean, we're on the verge of a breakthrough if we can understand the messages it's trying to send us. And in being able to listen, we begin to switch things on. We begin to, you know, turn the coin over and realize there's a whole other, you know, thing going on. And so, you know, real healers and, you know, truths that need to be released, they don't want to be released because it's not money making. They can't really profit off of it. And the thing is, that's part of the theft of us connecting to the cosmic and earth energies that don't need currency. It's all a part of like being connected with our greater abilities that can, you know, do things that the money system and these corporations and all these different power structures in our world have taught us, like, oh, no, you can't do that. And if this happens, you need to make an appointment and I'll take care of you. But they don't at all. Not to say that there aren't unbelievable individuals in these fields. I mean, doctors and surgeons and people that save people's lives every day. I mean, so much respect. So I'm not going there, but there is that kind of infiltration that like invites this whole thing that is like geared towards disempowering people. So instead of having guides, you know, that will help you to, you know, get in touch with your healing abilities, to help you to face some of those traumas and maybe shift your perspective in regards to how you relate to it, and also switch on the unconsciousness of ourselves, because we're born with amnesia, we can begin to access our galactic memories and actually do some real, you know, soul work and real healing on a collective level. And so the school systems have indoctrinated people out of the true history. There's no talking about galactic history. And when people go to medical school, they're not necessarily talking about herbs, plant medicines, and even the kind of plant medicines that might make us trip a little. I don't know.
Well, all of a sudden, I'm going to say, because I don't think it matters anymore, but hydroxychloroquine is all of a sudden okay for the, I was just reading an article today. They're like, it's okay now for the medical professionals to give this out, to push this now. What happened? Why all of a sudden?
And they all of a sudden admitted the PCR tests aren't accurate.
Yeah.
Right after the inauguration.
And
so I mean, the thing is, I mean, like, how does one make sense out of it? I feel like it's like part of like, oh, let's kind of warm them up. It's sort of like the tactic of when a player kind of woos a woman or vice versa, where the seduction energy or the, you know, like, oh, you know, let's pull in their trust and let's kind of like pull them in. Then they might pull a fast one. So it's not about living in fear. And it's like, okay, great. What if Biden is separate from all that and they really do want to help things? Why did you trash a man that is clearly, I mean, in his speeches, nobody can deny like a greater intention behind it. Cause I was like, not into any of it. And like, oh, I just don't do that world. Both sides are own. But when I started listening to speeches, when I really started to tune into his vibration, it's like, no, this is a very, very different scenario. So I feel like it's a placation thing and then it's a sabotage. But I don't want to promote that. I mean, anything could happen, and these could all be aspects of ourselves that are working themselves out, and we're going to see a great result. But
so.
Don't throw people like Trump under a bus and deny him Secret Service and literally ban him. If they were really benevolent, they would not be banning somebody like him, because these people supported rioting, looting. There were, at least 30 deaths, $2 billion of damages, which, and you're going to take this man off of all social media because a handful of people stormed the Capitol, and his speech never incited violence. None of his posts either. So it's obvious these people are corrupt. And then they say white supremacists because they're being racist because he's a white man. So it's
it's funny because they're the actual racists, but they project everything they are onto him and onto the people they're against.
So I've been going crazy real quick about, sharing the niece of Martin Luther King Jr., who is a major Trump supporter and is calling it all out. And it's just like, don't even go there, people. Sorry, but what were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say it's somebody put on, I saw a Twitter post, which I don't know how we're still standing. It blows my mind.
I don't know how.
But I saw somebody put Trump wouldn't poke the hornet's nest for 4 years just to leave us to deal with the hornets. Yeah. So to me, that's so true, because I feel like there is a greater plan at play. I see it. I see it playing out with all this Castle Rock information that's clearly showing us this is a movie. This is actually a stage. It's just the world is the stage, right? And it's just so obvious to me now.
Oh gosh, can I show you guys just a real quick image here?
Yeah, please.
Yes, please do.
The world being a stage is where, things like high school is a stage. What we see through the television and magazines is a stage. And it's there to impact and target our self-esteem. Where is our self-worth? We have to ask ourselves at the end of the day. Is it emulating what they say is being a successful person? Is it emulating what they say, well, this is what it means to be beautiful? It's like, of course, there's health and well-being. And that's different from like standards that they put out there as trends for society to, be a part of this greater group mind. But this group mind has been infected. So it requires a lot of us to reach into a greater place of integrity and understanding of this whole other thing. But yeah, I don't really need to share it. But basically what it's about, I can just,
that's fine.
Like, go share screen. But it's basically showing that the 3D matrix is the lower levels of our DNA and our chakra system. And I've been talking about this for more than a decade. It doesn't even matter. Sometimes I'd be like, you've been really trying to like share this, and I think it's really important, but I'm not trying to be like, oh, it's been 20 years that I've been, but yeah, it's like, so there's the 3D is the personality matrix. It's very, very easy to kind of siphon off of, because the brain computer is easily programmed.
Yeah.
But the rest of our DNA and these higher levels within our DNA, that's called junk DNA, connects us with higher harmonic universes that put us in the soul matrix, which a lot of us are already in. That's why we meet our soulmates and soul family, like here and where we are right now. Then we go into the monad matrix, which is connected to the 8th and 9th chakra, and the fact that there's an infinity spiral that gets activated in our energetic body. But this is where the most psychic attack and next level of false flags and attack on the human race as we begin to move into that. They're like so afraid of us moving into that. They've relied on us recycling, into the 7th chakra system.
And those attacks, though, I'm just saying those attacks are very are very real too.
And it makes people feel defeated, right? And really depressed. They're like, oh, I'm screwing up, and I'm, not to sound redundant, because I say this a lot in interviews, but it really causes a feeling of defeat and depression. When a person just has to realize that this is the veil you have to move through. It's filled with a lot of programs and astral parasites that want you to just go back and hit rock bottom again, or fall off the ladder, Jacob's ladder, whatever your DNA
They want you
ladder.
to give up. They want you to give up ultimately. Yeah. There's just like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm just going to go back to my old life in the matrix. Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. You're crazy. You're stupid. You're this, you're that.
Not going to happen.
Or if you hold on to being awakened, a lot of people are like, well, I'm stuck here. And then they might hit a bottle of vodka and like, and just feel like I'm a spiritual failure. But the moving through the veil of the astral energies is very, very difficult. And once we break through and get to the other side, this is what we're dealing with on the planet right now. We are moving through that veil. And right now it feels very freaky. It feels like, oh, well, and people are feeling defeat. This is a part of the greater global awakening. Yeah. And a lot of people in their own personal lives have gone through these layers and levels within themselves. But now on a like planetary level, we're moving through that, you know, the fear, the feeling of defeat. And then for others, you know, the mind control, the getting more polarized and more hateful. And we're witnessing so much of it that, you know, we got to be willing to really buffer ourselves, stay, you know, positive, and keep our creative energy engaged in, you know, amazing things like projects and visions and dreams that, you know, and that's what's so amazing about what you guys are doing, because, you know, and I feel, you know, I'm right on board with the same kind of thing where we stay in the flow of just keeping these conversations alive. And I feel like, you know, you guys are holding such a strong energy and you're not accepting defeat. And to me, that's what leadership right now is all about. It's not about follow me and I have all the answers and truth. No, free yourself, be sovereign, and live your passion, and, you know, create these greater conversations. So I really appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I mean,
thank you. You as well. Thank you so much for everything you do. And your talks are always amazing.
That's all I know how to do. I mean,
I listen to you all the time and I'm always like, yes. So awesome.
You know, the only reason that,
but I struggle and I do my best, and I'm on a healing path, of course. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Yeah, no one's perfect. I mean, we're all on that path.
Just going to say, the only reason we started this was because we just knew that we wanted to be a part of this movement, and we didn't know where it was going to go or what was going to come from it. And it was truly done from a place of passion. And that's where we still are now. And that's just, and I can't even imagine doing anything else.
Yeah.
And really quick, I want to take a minute to thank our mods and the people in the chat who are giving us donations. Thank you to mods for sharing our links. Kate, Awakening, Christina Love, Alara, I know you're in there, Loyal to the Foil, Fearless, Anita, and everybody else. Just want to thank you guys all, and thank you all for tuning in and being here. We hope we can bring some clarity right now, because it's very confusing. And so many people are looking for answers. I've seen them, like the overall morale of the collective down the last few days. And we need to have this discussion to make people realize that it's okay. And
yeah, well, okay. So when somebody passes away or you're going through a divorce, even if you know that person's not right for you, there's a mourning period, right? When you feel that something should have gone a certain way and it doesn't, there's this, you know, place we go, and that's the dark night of the soul. But it's not something to be imprisoned by. It's not something because if we fear and we don't give unconditional love to the times where fear comes up, we actually are in denial of what we need to breathe through, work through, maybe cry out, or, you know, even find maybe a sense of humor about it. But we're all going to face those places, but it's not a destination. But the thing is, when we create a lifestyle out of the fear and anxiety, where we have this false sense of security with these mandates and these different things, yeah, that's a concern. But for those that are, you know, reaching towards a greater truth, it's okay that we go through those places. That's actually a huge part of it. And it's not that it's necessarily fear-based for people. Sometimes it's empathic overload. Sometimes it's concern for family and friends that aren't getting it or waking up, and, you know, or do we have to leave them in the dust because this is getting really stupid?
And empathic overload. I love that term. Because that is very real. That happens even, you know, when I go when I go into a room full of people. And
yeah, I can't. I sit in this car before I go into a grocery store, and I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. Anyway, sorry, keep going.
No, I just like, I've never really used that term, but I can relate, and I think so many people listening, because most of us in this movement right now are empaths, and we feel uncomfortable more and more. Like when I go places, it's literally like, this is the first time ever where you can stand right next to somebody and be in a completely different timeline and a completely different frequency, and they'll be oblivious to it. But not, you know, it's difficult, and you pick up on that energy. And the whole lesson there for me was I had to learn how to not take that energy on and carry. And like, it's like when I walk into a room, I would pick up on all that energy and it will become mine. And you have to learn how to protect yourself from that.
Yeah, I would say that's like the hardest part. And, you know, herbs and crystals and stones and meditation and just invocation, like, okay, I'm shielded, I'm okay. But it's amazing. It's like fortunately my children and husband like do the grocery shopping, because I quite mastered. I mean, I used to be able to sort of, but you know, sometimes I want to just be in that electric chair with a big pair of sunglasses and have that like claw to just pull the, I don't want to deal. And then, like I let all that go, and it's just, everybody is got such goodness and beauty in their heart. You know, the masses like hold such goodness and beauty in their heart, and to interact, once I let go of just like, I'm too empathic, or I don't know what I am. I'm just too whatever. I just, you know, just making eye contact, having the best conversations, and just even the other day, I'm like, you know, I kind of let go of the, everybody's masked and there's no way I can do this. You know, I just had the best encounter, because I realized, you know, same thing when I lived on the road and I felt like, oh my God, I have no money and I'm screwed and I got 2 kids, twins. When I was in poverty consciousness or in any kind of anxiety or fear, I literally would attract things that were just like, you know, falling asleep at night, when you literally are generating and staying, you know, connected to some weird nightmare scenario, just like we might be experiencing on the world stage. It's very temporary. It's very illusory or delusionatory. Is that even a word? But when I shift my perspective, especially when I was on the road and I had no money, and this was like for 10 years, I literally pulled money out of the ground and I would attract really high vibe spiritual people. But when I wasn't in that perception or vibration, no, it was really bad. It was just like really, you know, low vibe. And then it reminded me, you know, a homeless man could just beg and be a victim, or sit there in a lotus position, meditating, connecting with source energy, and just manifesting all sorts of incredible things. And
speaking of
that was like my big life lesson. And I feel that this is our life lesson as humans is, you know, what are you empowering? What are you feeding? And even if, you know, temporarily it's like victim consciousness or feelings of isolation, or one can't relate. I mean, I'm still every day just like, cut those cords. You've done it before. You can do it now. Because I get so triggered by masks. I'm just like,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I agree with all that. You know, you just basically explained that your thoughts create your reality. And just something, a side note, something funny I was telling Aaron today. Speaking of homeless people, it's not funny, but it made me laugh. There was a guy I drove past, and his sign, he just had a sign that said, "Foot hurts," and that was it. And it just, foot hurts. And I was like, it made me laugh, but I was like, you know, he's not lying. Like, I'm sure his foot actually hurts, but it seemed so real to me. Like I was flying by, I wanted to stop and give him money over somebody else who, you know, it was just, there was a certain authenticity there, but it made me laugh.
Well, you know, authenticity brings about humor. You know why? Because it's like, I mean, isn't that how we transmute stuff? It's like, we got to be real. Because to me, when he said that, he wasn't really in fear. It's just like, this is what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
I know some of those kind of things when they jump out at me, and when I, you know, kind of like go through shit, and I'm just like, you know, and that's how relationships thrive, and the ways to heal between family relations. You can just say, hey, I feel like shit and I don't feel like I'm being listened to. It's way better than like acting out and being like, you know, like Jersey Shore reality show kind of drama. I've never even watched this show, but I don't know why I brought that up. But you know, where it's just like people get addicted to the drama because, you know, the vampiric system has taught people to be opposed, where they don't quite understand that the vibration of harmony and love and respect feels so much better.
Yeah.
And that's why people are so locked in addiction cycles, because not only are they addicted to drama, it's not really appeasing to their soul. So that's why, you know, there's so much substance abuse on this planet.
Well, you know.
Oh, yeah.
God, I shouldn't have just checked the time because I lost my train of thought. What was she just talking about? What was I going to say?
Oh, just like duality, drama, and how the higher levels of harmony and connection, it feels so much better. But people think, oh, maybe that's boring because they're addicted to drama. It's like the same thing with being addicted to fast food or drugs.
That's what I wanted to say. Actually, it's really important. Something I wanted to discuss tonight is that everyone here listening needs to keep in mind that everything we are seeing right now is purely optics. Like this, don't believe in any of this stuff that's going on that you're seeing Biden do and whatever the news and media is telling you. It is quite literally a lie. I mean, it's not a twist of the story. It's a lie. It's not what's happening. It's not what's happening right now. That's why it's important to find these groups. Whoever's in this chat, start communicating, start messaging each other, join groups, whatever. Figure out what's going on, because if you don't do that, you will be lost. We all need support groups. We all need each other right now.
That's what I'm basing everything. I mean, I have 2 subscriptions, and it's all about building community and helping empower people's mission that they might not feel like accepted by their friends or family. And so like even this Saturday, I'm launching or helping somebody who has been super shy that has a great mission. And I'm featuring, I mean, it's just like, we all got to put our heads together. We are a greater like human ecosystem on a soul level. The mind control though, is going to create this, other thing that, I mean, we just have to break our bonds with. And it's really, really playing on, that ego stuff, like you were saying. And we can literally cut those ties. It's just like when a person's willing to say, I can't be your friend anymore. It doesn't mean I don't love you, but this is toxic. This is not healthy, or any kind of partnership or anything, a place that one might live, or job that they might have, or a career that, asks them to compromise themselves. There's so much fear in transitioning into the next level. And what I hold as my intention through building community is we got your back, and you don't have to fear this transition. Yeah. And I'm glad that I had the kind of lifestyle I had, where, shifting the perspective changed everything. And, I have no idea how I ended up raising pretty much on my own without any reason. They're like, aren't you an Eisenhower? Don't you have trust funds? No, actually we don't. We're all very hard workers. But I raised these incredible boys that are now 22. And it's just like, oh, I was broken down and would sob every day. Like, I can't do this. I'm not worried. Like, how is it that these 2 incredible souls would choose me as a mother? And I right. Well, so, I mean, being pushed to the edge sometimes is exactly what people need in order to access their treasures, I guess, is my point.
Well, yeah. And it's very apparent to me that the children, your children, our children aren't necessarily here to learn as much as they are to teach us.
Yes.
Well, I think that's especially true with the young starseeds now coming in. They are coming in with past life memories, memory recall. They're not coming in with full amnesia, and they're brilliant minds. There's this I don't know how to even explain it, but they're here to teach us. They're here to teach us, especially a struggling parent or whatever. If you can learn a lot from having a conversation with a 3-year-old if you're paying attention.
Oh, exactly. Oh my God. I said they raised me. These are my greatest teachers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. I could go on and it's probably like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we saw with Biden and Hunter Biden. No, I'm joking.
Oh, right. And didn't he have a party at the Gentleman's Club the night of the inauguration? I heard.
Oh, I'm sure.
It was a debauchery, like Satan fest. But
you want to talk about the tattoo?
Oh yeah. So, well, first of all, Biden. It's interesting. We now have a true senior citizen as president. Like, at the furthest extent, like even the way he walks, his mind is not there. It's actually like nothing there. It's actually really sad.
Does he have a walker or a wheelchair?
No, I'm talking about Joe Biden.
Yeah. I was wondering though if he has a walker, because I can't.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like,
I mean, he probably should.
Just his mind, he's in no position to be where he's at. Mm-hmm. It's actually really sad. Somebody put a video out the other day of these comedians from years ago, making fun of Biden about the way he talked and his mental health years ago. And you mean to tell me he's in shape now to do what he's doing? It's actually really sad that he's being used, if it's even him.
If it wasn't obvious, he was a puppet.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
But, and then did you see the video where he's walking past the Marines or the troops or whatever?
And he says, salute the Marines.
Yeah.
Actually saluting.
So it's clear that there was somebody in his earpiece telling him to salute the Marines. And instead of saluting him, he said out loud as he passed him, salute the Marines. And it's like he didn't even know that he was supposed to salute him. His mind isn't there.
It's very faulty. I mean, the fact that he admitted on camera that the voting was rigged. And people are like, there's no evidence. I mean, he
put together the greatest
like,
voter fraud.
What's that?
What do you say? We put together the greatest voter fraud
organization.
And then all the proof and all the evidence came in, and people are just literally like supporting people being censored.
Somebody said
jobs. People are losing jobs and their livelihood for even mentioning it. It's like, and
Well, did you see that the airplane of people that got evacuated because they were all singing the national anthem?
Wait, when was that?
This like last week. There's an entire plane full of people. They started singing the national anthem, and they made them all. They made them all get off the plane. But something I want to bring up. I don't know if a lot of people might have seen this. Maybe you didn't. But so this helicopter crash that happened with the 3 National Guard soldiers or whatever happened up in New York happened near what they call Finger Lakes. It's a lake system.
I used to live on Lake Ontario, and I used to go to the Finger Lakes all the time in upstate New York. Sorry.
Oh, no way.
Do you know that
I grew up in Webster, but
did you know that Hunter Biden's back tattoo is Finger Lakes?
Oh, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of underground. I mean,
allegedly that's one of the central hub, if not the central hub, for the child trafficking, and that helicopter crash actually was symbolized the start of like something major.
Well, I mean, would you say it was like a sacrifice similar to like Kobe Bryant type thing, or can you believe all the Simpson cartoon? I mean, are these okay? I don't mean to jump into another.
No. I don't know if it's a sacrifice, but I think it symbolizes something because Q mentioned this. The helicopter crash. They mentioned the closing of the Standard Hotel. They could not have done that without Project Looking Glass. There's no way.
I was gonna say I think it's Looking Glass.
And then they even went on to say that the two are related. And speaking of Simpsons, there's no doubt in my mind that whoever's behind Simpsons has access to Looking Glass. And Looking Glass is a very real technology. And we're doing Secret Space Program Month, and we're diving deep into all this off-world technology. And it's incredible what we're capable of. And if you don't understand that, you are going to be lost because you need to understand the technology that's in play.
Oh, sorry. No, just rewind. If you could.
I just said people need to understand the technology that's actually at play right now in this war, because this is a war. I mean, what just happened the other day? They had the port closed in California. That's why all those Navy vessels and cargo vessels they couldn't dock because they were allegedly tugging in 2 submarines that had been damaged, and I guess a war type scenario. Something is going on right now. It's just really interesting.
Yeah, well, I'm very familiar with Looking Glass Technologies. Part of the Mars recruitment thing, actually, they utilized Looking Glass Technologies to create this scenario. And
somebody just said Homer Simpson is Q. Sorry.
Oh, that's so cool.
We figured it out.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Oh, I'm glad it's like funny though, because the Simpsons are really funny. And I know one of the cartoonists his name is Tommy Tahita. You can find him on Facebook. He's won Emmys for his cartooning. So because he's such a not false woke, but like
But continue with the Looking Glass.
Well, I mean, I have emails back from 2006 where they're talking about Looking Glass Technologies and the Orion's Cube and how they located me and this person from previous lifetimes, and how it's like a quantum access technology based in like Sumerian tablets or but what I ended up finding out is, take everything with a grain of salt. I'd prefer to listen to my intuition. And I'm sure like somebody will be like, oh, she's doing weird things with her fingers. It's like, I'm a dancer. I just like to use my hands. But I do use my hands a lot. It just helps with the energy flow. But anyway, the quantum access technologies, Looking Glass Technologies said, or the messages that were coming through is that they can't read anything past 2012. And at this juncture, which is when the Mars recruitment was saying, this is when we're leaving, is 2012. I'm like, I don't think so. Ever since I was a kid, I always knew that the 2012 window, ascension window was like incredibly important. So I had to kind of like duke it out with them. But I was like, I'm not like in war or opposition, but it's like, so yeah, I could really go off. So the Looking Glass Technologies, from what I came to understand, and I'm not saying that all the information is correct that I got, but it has a lot to do with Dan Burish and the P45s, the P52s, and timeline A and B. But it doesn't mean that there's not a lot of scenarios within those two timelines. So I would say one is more artificial and the other one is, more the organic one. And I mean, I compiled all this information, and it's not like maybe as fluent as it used to be as far as the way I describe it, coming across a lot of different kind of information. But I don't think, Project Looking Glass has, really gone away. I feel like it launched something. So if somebody says this is when it ends, there is no true ending. It launched something. And that's what I feel like you guys are picking up on. But yeah, I got to show you, I have like so much information about that. And to this day, it's like, no, I feel like they've really done a good job in capturing the mind of a lot of humans, where they can create sort of a probability and projection in the same way that chronovisors and, looking into the future does, based on the individual that is looking at it. But yeah, Project Looking Glass, as far as I'm concerned, and again, anybody can question me, shut down in 2012.
Yeah,
but it's a time travel thing, so
I don't know. I mean, I still think it's in use. I don't.
Yeah, I get that feeling.
There was a lot of the people that thought Q or the Alliance got control of it recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Q said think Looking Glass.
Yeah, and like according to drops, that's what it seemed like.
Hey, what's Kate?
I don't know.
What's Kate talking about here in the chat?
She said, Kate said, what did she say?
Documents just leaked regarding bankruptcy case against the United States as a corporation. She's digging on it now. I mean, there's so.
I know it's true.
Yeah, there's so much to keep up with.
That is huge.
So much to keep up with right now. Don't let yourself get distracted from your mission. Yeah, it's important to know what's going on, but don't let yourself get distracted.
Oh, it's so easy. Well, I mean, I've been very mission oriented, just like a lot of people and you guys, right? Yeah. And it's really difficult, falling into like the pit of despair, even though I know that it's temporary. I don't have any fear. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if I did. And it's like, I was never attached to this is how it has to look and this is how it has to play out. But just seeing like, or feeling, the collective disappointment. I mean, it's like all these flags. First off, people said there was a green screen. They're literally locked in, but yet they want to break down the walls that Trump built and reverse everything that he's done, so that all these, and it's nothing against like other, I mean, it's just what we have to do in our own lives. If I didn't have boundaries, I'm going to let any like parasite archon or, criminal person or rapist into my world, but then like create like this other existence that literally imprisons me. So we're literally seeing their struggle. I feel that they're literally like, oh, well, we have no boundaries, but yet we want to, be imprisoned and try and run the show. That it's literally a lesson for humanity to break the bonds of negative ego constructs, to the point where if we can understand that our negative ego constructs, whether it's being inflated or undermined, we need to free ourselves. And I feel like this metaphor or this outer facade or, what is being reflected to the human realm is helping us to just break that bond and be like, we're so much deeper. We're so much more loving than we can imagine. And those that are here to unify, that have rainbow crystalline consciousness, that can't even like fathom like race division, are going to inspire people to get out of that prison, because that is a prison camp. What they showed in the inauguration is, if you support this, literally you are locking yourself up in a prison and you're allowing in, something that is not initiating itself properly. And it's not, it's like, you got to kind of vet people. It doesn't mean that, people don't want to allow others in from other countries. America stands for freedom, and a lot of people flock here, but they can't just flood this place. It's just, to me, it's a metaphor of like, it's like humanity on a collective level. And especially in this country, is like, it's going through the pain, a stomach cramp, and now it's going to throw up. And then it's going to be like, oh, let's flush it. And oh my God, now I feel better. Now I can think clearly. That's my hope.
Well, I think you touched on I think that's all of our hope for one, but I think you touched on something that needs to be discussed is boundaries. That is so crucial right now because there are what I like to call, faker spirits or a lot of deceptive people that are going to come into your life and they're going to present themselves. And these people are very deceiving and they can fool you into thinking there's somebody that's going to help you and they're for the light of the light or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to trick you.
They know all the right things to say. And
they know how to get in and then they know how to take you off your path. So it's important to have boundaries and not just meet somebody and take everything they say in your first encounter at face value. You're like, oh, this is a really nice person. They seem awesome just because you have one good conversation with them. You really need to put up boundaries and be careful who you let into your life and keep your tribe small. It's important right now because otherwise you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing with the whole like seduction archetype, whether it comes from the male or female, it doesn't matter. Or, everybody wants to talk about like we're dealing with a multidimensional cosmos. We're dealing with all sorts of beings. So there's those that support a sort of galactic unity consciousness that is beyond like a one world government or system. And then there's, those that fight each other and they're still in that fight. But when we look at ourselves as energetic beings in this physical vessel, we struggle with that within ourselves. And, we're not separate from these multidimensional levels or these other beings. I mean, it's part of the greater ecosystem. When we go into the ocean, I mean, there are species that we run into that maybe, well, I think most Discovery Channel shows and some of these amazing people that have gone down in there have like captured most of them. But I mean, there's so many mysteries, on a universe cosmic level, and then in our own oceans and within our own like bioterrain and energetic beings and physical vessels and greater consciousness. It's like we're just like indoctrination program humanity, and we're all and this is what these times are about, breaking that veil, breaking that seal, so that we can realize there's a much larger ecosystem and it's not separate from us. It's nothing to fear. It's no different than like, maybe catching a cold. And I'm not talking about the co-bitch. I call it that.
Yes.
About like,
co-bitch.
It's like
co-bitch.
But we're here to increase our immune system in the face of adversity, just like we're here to increase our spiritual awareness in the face of Archonic attack. We're here to heal our minds in the face of mind control, to become free thinkers. And we're here to ignite a fire so that fire isn't taken down to a lower level of violence and misaligned passion that hurts people. It's like we're learning to adjust our relationship to the elements, which our DNA connects with as far as the nucleic acids are concerned. Now that the ether is back online, since the sun started to move through the 13th sign of Fiacus, and that connects with the mitochondrial DNA and the ether, we are able to purify and heal on levels that we can't imagine. So this system is just wanting to vamp and vamp and vamp and distract. Not to say that it's not important to keep up with it, but we have to know that this whole other thing is going on. Yep. And this whole creation is designed to help us to, move beyond all this. And I don't think the Luciferian or satanic agenda expected it. But, the unconditional love of source creation, is similar to being, a mother or father, whether you have kids or not, in this physical realm that will never give up. And the love is so much stronger than death, hatred, and fear. And love is winning. So,
well, it's important to find beauty in the darkest places right now. Beauty is everywhere. It truly is in the eye of the beholder. You can see the beauty in everything if you allow yourself to be on that timeline, to see it from that perspective. And it's important to remember to be communicating with the planet and nature right now. And even your family, even your like immediate family and friends, like people that are in our lives. I know we're hermits and we want to stay away, but it's important to start communicating. There was a guy at ESETI at the conference. He was out in the field trying to communicate with ETs, and he was like sitting there meditating, asking like, he was really looking for an experience, and he got a message. It said, why why are you trying to communicate with us when you don't even want to communicate with your family? And that just hit me. I was like, that's so true. That's so true. So it's that going back to what you said, just about love. And I don't even know what else to say.
No, well, I mean, it's absolutely it. It's like that to me is the integrator of polarity. It's like, you know, if we get too polarized, it's like, oh, you're the bad guys or you're the good guys. And, you know, well, I mean, it's easy to feel that way when it comes down to deep state stuff because of child trafficking and these horrific crimes that, you know, and these horrific abuses. But, you know, just the willingness to see that and understand what is behind it and forgive the souls that might have been compromised to the point of, you know, total fragmentation with multiple altars. And, you know, it hit me really hard, especially, and I already kind of knew this, but when I interviewed this person named Derek, who had been trafficked to the royal families, he brought up specific people and also the Trudeaus, and he was born into these families and had 200 altars, and his wife was, you know, kind of a therapist to him and helping him kind of through it, helping him to not like fall into the altars that, you know, would be a part of bringing down New World Order. He said that, you know, some of his altars were programmed to sabotage this great awakening, but he, you know, pushed through it. But a lot of these people that we see on the world stage that haven't pushed through it, you know, are major victims of, you know, serious abuse. And, you know, and at the same time, it's like, okay, what is your greater soul agreement? Like, why, you know, but it doesn't come down to the duality of us against them. It has to be an alchemical transformational shift, you know, where we understand things enough, we gain enough knowledge to hold space for souls that are willing to come home, that might fear coming home because of the blackmail or because of, you know, the dirt on them, where, you know, they keep compromising themselves because they're, you know, but at the same time, there's multiple versions of them. And so it's quite the education to, you know, see how big this goes, or how vast this goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes years. It takes years to really get to a level of understanding to what you're talking about, because some of the stuff you were saying earlier was going over my head, using all those astrology terms and stuff. I understand.
Okay. The 13th.
Well, I understand it.
It's the esoteric stuff.
I understand it, but some of the terms I'm not familiar with. Is all.
Oh, okay. Well, real quick. So, if we look at the astrology wheel, 12 houses, 12 zodiac signs, and they're all ruled by earth, air, fire, water. And the whole kind of zodiac kind of gives this full picture of, like, you know, every facet of our life and all our unique charts, you know, kind of show what are we, you know, kind of gravitated towards. But the 13th sign coming in is
really quick,
more than we can imagine.
Sorry. According to somebody in the chat, your Twitter account just got suspended.
Oh, no.
Cool.
I don't know if that's true or not. And I'm sorry for interrupting you, but
of course they do it during the
no, I changed my name. I know it's still there.
Okay, good. Okay. I'm glad we clarified that.
No, but okay, so
Continue,
it's okay.
Please.
Earth, air, fire, water. Our nucleic acids in our DNA connect with these elements. So we're surrounded by earth, air, fire, water. These are the main elements. But the ether energy has been put in reversal codes for a long time, connects with the Baphomet and the satanic ritual abuses and this whole system that we're seeing, like trying to gain power. But since 2010, the sun started to move through the 13th sign. And it's a zodiac sign that is ruled by Chiron, the wounded healer, but also the ether element. And so the correction of the pentagram, which the Venus transits have been facilitating through a lot of people and their missions on Earth, the grid workers and this and that, are correcting all this stuff to the point where the mark of the beast, even if it's through vaccines, gets nullified. And on an astrological level, it's proven. So the only reason I'm bringing it up is to validate these other things. So, you know, if you're going to see something in one area, to me, it's like, it's either propaganda unless it shows up in another area. I mean, you know, we could easily fall into a belief system, but it needs to be showing up somewhere else, like in astronomy, astrology, science, greater, you know. So I've been very careful about the things that I share, because I don't want to be like woo woo, and I'm not into new age bullshit. And I can tell you there's a lot of that. But there are things that absolutely validate the fact that this mark of the beast and this Baphomet energy has been corrected. And it's just a matter of time until, you know, humans recognize that. They might struggle with some of the programs or, you know, the shots or this and that, but no, as far as the mother energy goes, as far as what I'm like feeling, and I feel like it's beyond feeling, like I know it, no soul is left behind and the doorways will always be open. They might have to be closed at certain times, and they have been for thousands of years, because souls going back into Tara and these higher harmonic universes would be very destructive and dangerous to these systems that have been healing from the exploded planets. But so many missions and starseed missions and guardian groups have been put in place. And yeah, it might appear like really doom, dark, and weird. I don't want to say doom and gloom, because it is all correcting.
It has to appear like that. It has to appear like that right
people
now.
Into, yeah, it's like,
well, people need to see, like that's just it.
It's coming to the surface. The darkness is all coming to the surface. So that's why
people have to see it. You have to see it to believe it. Hey, look, do you have
exactly. You got to see it to believe it. You got to feel it. You got to know it, overcome it.
You got to feel. Yep. We have to all experience it, and that's how we're going to transmute it and overcome it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it only has power based on what it feeds on and what it's able to steal. Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
Exactly.
Well, there's people in the chat asking if you have a book or if where they can follow you. Can you just go ahead and plug your stuff?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm taking 2 months off, kind of. We'll see how that goes. But I have like about 3 books in the works. It might just end up being 1 book that I've wanted to publish for a really long time that I've been working on. But it got like taken down and sabotaged like many years ago. And so I had to like kind of restart. And anyway, let's not go into like, so my website is cosmicgaia.org. And I got 2 subscriptions there, one with Dark to Light with David Rodriguez. And we do every other Wednesday, we interview a guest. And then the other Wednesdays we do a Q&A. And then I've got Cosmic Gaia, and I do like at least 4 Zoom events a month. And this month I missed one, but you know, astro reports and this and that. That's, you know, you can pretty much find everything through my cosmicgaia.org website. But yeah, I got major books coming out, and I have a lot of like articles and things that I've shared, and some of it doesn't always, you know, last. But you know what I feel like, no matter how much they try and censor and shut people down, we are connected in these telepathic zones, and we're a united force beyond, you know, what Twitter and Facebook decides. And I really just want to emphasize that for anybody who might be feeling. But yeah, with these different subscriptions, you know, there's more one-on-one contact. I can help you navigate your astro chart. But yeah, you know, sometimes, I mean, I don't want to say anything that I'm really not able to do, you know, so you know, it's going to take a little bit of patience with people in case I have to reschedule or this or that. But no, it's all about building community right now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you for plugging all that. And if this time right now is making anything apparent to me, it's that we are really finding a soul family. And so many friends in my life were having these wild dreams and memories of experiences that are taking place in the astral, and we're sharing them. And it seems very much like you just shut your camera off while I was in the middle of talking to you. I'm joking.
I'm totally listening. It's just I don't want to pee myself. Sorry. I'm listening.
You're fine. It seems very much like we're all tapping into that unity consciousness, and we're all connecting on a deeper level right now. And it's really helping us through these times. And yeah, that's it. I'll wait for you to come back.
Oh, I'm totally here. I just, you know, it's like, I wouldn't want you guys to be like, oh, there's Laura going to the bathroom. That's really great. No, I'm here. I'm here.
No, it's fine. But yeah, no, I just think, no, do what you have to do.
I just did. I'm done.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Yes. That is authenticity. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Well,
thank you for being you. But
thank you.
I think I made my point.
No, I was listening the whole time. So believe me. No, that was beautiful. God. No, you guys are like just totally aligned and just incredible guides in where we are. But yeah, I mean, would you mind though, just like sharing like the last, because I was kind of cracking up that you guys were like thinking that I had left. I mean, so I didn't quite catch the full message. So, and it's really
no, I was just saying that it's just apparent to me right now that so many people are connecting on a soul level and really finding their soul family, and we're having memories of like doing things in the astral, and we're like sharing them in real time. It's like we're being activated. Something is happening. I mean, the veil is thinning. I'm seeing stuff. I'm having experiences. I'm also receiving attacks, but I feel like some of those attacks might be set up by my higher self as training. I didn't even know what the hell's going on.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just feel like we're really connecting on a deeper level right now. Those of us,
yeah.
And those of us who are speaking out are finding each other. And
yeah,
it's very apparent to me that we've had past lives together. We're probably doing stuff together in alternate timelines and space programs. I mean, who knows?
Oh, that's so cool that you just said all that. Yeah. And I totally feel that way. Yeah, I mean, being multidimensionally aware, and yeah, I mean, this kind of has to play out, and we're witnessing it, and we're, you know, here kind of on a recon mission, trying to help as many souls as possible to usher themselves into this other paradigm and this other level of awareness. But, you know, and a lot of us have grounding cords into these higher dimensional energies, and it's hard to, you know, be fully grounded here. But yeah, no, it's like we are an unbelievable team, and it's beyond team. It's beyond labels. It's literally being conduits of, you know, greater source energy. And, you know, and I mean, to me, it's like the tree of life template. There's the artificial tree of life grids and the sort of darker, you know, reversal grid energies, anti-life, anti-Christ, you know, all into like the mind control and authoritarianism and all those Arianisms, whatever is and then there's this like whole other thing. And so many of us came for these times, and we're a part of this, you know, greater planetary consciousness, you know. And I was just thinking the other day, and I've said this before, it's like our blood runs through the veins of this planetary body. Our nervous system is connected to the true Gaia organic energy, and it's not limited to 3D. It's so multidimensional. And it's part of our capacity to co-create and be, you know, dreamers. It's not limited to the elementals that we might be seeing. Because to me, like the predator kind of victim scenario that we see in nature evolves into this whole other thing where the elemental kingdoms are rising, and humans are going to, you know, start to really interact more with nature. Like even this morning when this bald eagle just like went right across the window, and like seeing the peacocks, it's like, you know, when we can just like drop the matrix stuff and actually look at the real reality going on around us, the one that, you know, is not man-made, you know, the different flowers and trees and plants and animals. To me, that is the true reality. And this other system is trying to suck us in, but we have an agreement to help raise its vibrations so that the brain computer can, you know, connect enough with soul and spirit to generate the timeline that is connected to the organic timeline. But we're willing to walk enough with the artificial one. But yeah, bifurcation's on, like, we're on the cusp of like needing to just be like, bye you guys. Because if I get called a racist and bigot one more time, it's like, I'm done. I'm sorry with social media, but not done with, like, you know, my soul brothers and sisters in our soul family.
What did Kate just, I was just going to say, if anything, nature teaches us is infinity. But Kate just said, follow Journey to Truth channel on Telegram, which they don't have a link for yet because they are noobs and they actually, if you go to our last video, the link tree link is
under, it's in our link tree.
It's in our link tree under the description of our last video.
Put in this one.
But I guess we will start.
Oh wait, somebody says, have you seen elementals like the Fae or Sasquatch? So have you seen?
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like totally connected with them. I mean, I feel like, I mean, I went to, okay, I don't want to go too much in it, but oh yeah, I mean, living in the wilderness for a couple of years. I mean, my background is wilderness expedition leadership, but then I would go like on my own road trips and I would create my own things. And all sorts of crazy things happen. I even wrote poems about it, like hummingbirds waking me up in the morning, the breeze from their wings cools the soul fire burning. And then all of a sudden, fairy kingdom, right? No, I feel very connected to those elemental kingdoms. I don't sometimes see them as much as I would like. Sometimes I feel like I'm constantly processing a lot of like the heavy density on this planet. And I go into these zones where I like, don't feel as connected as I used to be. And, but then I realized they're like, you know what, for whatever reason, but yeah, like Sasquatch, it's like, I have dreams where sometimes like, well, I don't want my husband to like get weirded out, but I'm spooning with Sasquatch. Like he's
yes.
like,
I've had
like,
so many dreams,
like in the wilderness, like
I've had so many astral projection experiences where I'm like going and meeting with like a family of Sasquatch, and it's so real. And it just, I don't know, the connection with the Sasquatch and the elementals is something that's always been close to me as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Oh, totally. And that whole kingdom is like ready to, you know, and it connects to our DNA and the elements. And so the anti-reversal grids and how it's infected our DNA and all the propaganda, the fake news, all these different things that are streaming through the power structures that are in our world pollute and contaminate those places. And it throws us into like, you know, the reversals of what these elements really hold. Yeah. And reversals, you know, aren't, you know, the natural occurrences, but the reversals have to do with, you know, what we're here to learn as humans. How can we get the power back in our minds? Because our minds really direct a lot of this. And it kind of dictates what we feel emotionally. And once we get a grip on our perceptions of reality and we, you know, kind of call our mental body back, you know, we're in good shape. Because when we look at the air element in this world today with, you know, the chemtrails and this and that, I sometimes feel like the air and element and the mental part and why mind control and social engineering is so prevalent is because it's like the skipper of the ship. What we think and what we perceive is very much driving the rest of all that we are. But sometimes our emotions might feel like, you know, it's ruling, and then it informs the mind like, oh, you're depressed or everything's terrible. But I very much think, you know, the grid reversals are very much targeting the mind first. But, you know, that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's creating like reversals basically, you know?
Yeah.
And it depends, you know, our own personal astrological chart will show what part of the elemental system are you here to help heal, you know, because all these adversities and challenges we've been given is like this gift from source saying, you know, you're a warrior and you need to turn this around instead of being victimized by it. And that's that leap in perception that can help to empower us more, especially in these times. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a beautiful message to end on. We've been going for a little bit now, and
you were going to say something, and I
was just going to say people loved the fact that you're spooning with Sasquatch.
I know that's weird.
But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I thought this was very crucial. It's a very crucial time to be discussing this stuff. And thank you. We couldn't thank you enough for coming on. So it's unfortunate it didn't work out the other day, but I think that happened for a reason. I feel like the timing was right for this. And yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in and listening. Don't forget to, you know, we'll have all Laura's links. As soon as this is over, I'm going to drop all the links in the description. So if you're looking for anything, they'll be down there. And Laura, if you have any last words you'd like to leave us with.
Just a lot of gratitude. I really love you guys. And, you know, thanks for just doing what you do. And, you know, when we really feel like a block or an obstacle or a major adversity, I mean, not to be redundant, but I mean, it's just, there are athletes in the physical realm, but then they're spiritual athletes. And it's like, we're unstoppable, but we do have to take care of the physical. And I have no idea how you guys are doing with that. It's like, I've been definitely like needing more exercise, but you know, it's all about balance. I mean, we're restoring the tree of life. And I mentioned the 10 sphere sort of reversal grids based in the draconian DNA and, you know, trying to enslave humanity. But the minute we have those kind of epiphanies and revelations, we begin to light up these other spheres that actually help us to overcome obstacles that might look so daunting and impossible. But, you know, when we really connect with spirit, it's like, spirit holds the upper hand and there's nothing we can't do. And one thing that people can relate to is, I mean, look at the people that have died and there's a show now on Amazon about, you know, people that have literally been dead for 20 minutes and came back. And then there's this whole concept of just being able to cross that barrier over, you know, fear and begin to tap into the creative imagination and the fact that, you know, we aren't victims. We need to be empowered and we need to support one another. And this is the thing with, like, it doesn't matter if you're right or left, the infection of hatred, you know, is not encouraging. But in the face of that kind of challenge too, on a multidimensional level, we're here to overcome the obstacles, be spiritual warriors and athletes, but also be able to turn around and, you know, share compassion and, you know, inspiration, you know, like the bodhisattvas do. But, you know, at a certain stage in the game, one has to have a boundary to abusive, you know, people. It's just not worth, you know, but we can also neutralize it when we love ourselves enough to know when enough is enough.
Well, I think the lesson here today is that it's going to be okay. Like there's nothing to worry about. I mean, yeah, it's not ideal and there are worries, but it's really important to just find yourself, ground yourself. This is the time of self-discovery and going inward, going on that spiritual path and growing and being ready for whenever disclosure or something does come that is going to shock the collective. We need to be ready for that moment. And it's okay. What we're seeing right now, guys, believe me when I say it's all optics. What you are seeing is nothing to panic about. It's literally a facade. So don't worry about that and focus on the things in your life that you do have control of.
Yeah. I mean, it's the breaking down, it's the deprogramming. So, you know, as long as the mind is infected, you know, with fear and it has a choice in that moment. Are you going to rise above it? Are you going to transmute it? Are you going to begin to access the truth of who you really are? Or are you going to hand that power away and expect somebody else to, you know, kind of take care of you? And yes, that creates digression, but, you know, even if we're worried about friends or family, you know, there's at any moment, a person can have a breakthrough. And the thing is, we'll always be guides and spiritually present with those people. You know, even if they turn into grays or EBEs, it's like, okay, well, we love you unconditionally. And that to me is what true God source is all about. And we're this great bigger organism, and there's always going to be those elements that aren't quite a part of, you know, this flow. But I just don't believe any soul could ever be lost unless they're one of the dark players or demonic forces that are coming through AI. To me, that's going to collapse when a person breaks the program, and then it turns into space dust and it just doesn't exist anymore. So it's really up to the individual. Yes. Do not let your minds be owned, you know, be creative, stay creative, and, you know, and don't be so polarized. It's, you know, and that's what they're leveraging right now in order to allow archons to feed on the conquer and divide agenda. But no, I know that us as a human race, we love each other way more than that. And we will triumph. And if not, we'll go into another dimension. Let's not fear death and be masked and shut down here. But maybe temporarily we need to be. Maybe it's buffering some of the intense ascension energies too. Sorry, go ahead. I'm
just going to say, you know, to sum up what you said, reclaim your sovereignty is what we're doing. And but that being said, thank you so much for coming on, Laura. This has been incredible. We can't thank you enough.
Yes,
guys.
You so much.
Thank you for joining us tonight. And don't forget, I'm going to mention one more time the Starseed Adventure Conference in Cocoa Beach, Florida in March. Tickets are still available. They're extremely limited.
Yep.
And we just lost Laura somehow, but it's okay. We'll keep going.
It's okay.
Tickets are extremely limited. So make sure you grab yourself a ticket. And I'm really confused right now. Did she really just...
I don't know if she did it on purpose. She might have got booted.
It's okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Grab yourself a ticket. Come hang out with us on the beach in Florida, Cocoa Beach in March. I don't know the dates, but
12th through the 14th.
12th through the 14th. We're really excited about it. It's so crucial right now. We need to get out and have and see each other in person. I'm so tired of doing everything virtually. So, Anyway, Have a great night, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Love you all. Good night.